My name is Amit Sangekar. माझं नाव अमित सांगेकर आहे. मेरा नाम है Amit Sangekar. A warm welcome to each one of you to Reading with You, Poet Reading Session number 10. I had no idea this would reach number 10. As somebody, a dear friend Atit, remarked that day that Amit, you should now start naming this as season one and episode, not rather than just episode. It was very kind of him to have mentioned that, but I'm not really sure I'll enter any kind of seasons right now. But thank you so much, Atit. It means a lot that you said that. या कविता वाचनाच्या 10व्या एपिसोडमध्ये आपलं सर्वांचं स्वागत आहे. कविता वाचन के इस 10th एपिसोड में, 10वें एपिसोड में आप सबका स्वागत है. So, while I was researching for something which was positive, which could be something interesting, which would be inspirational, but yet which could be something very common and identifiable, I came across this lovely piece by Edgar Guest. Now, he was a British-born American poet, and he was called the People's Poet. So this particular piece, this particular poem is called The Equipment. Don't worry, it's got nothing to do with anything related to mechanical engineering. It actually speaks about how you could achieve the most seemingly, how should I call it, unachievable, where you have all the equipment to achieve it with you. So, let me start with that poem. The Equipment by Edgar Guest. Figure it out for yourself, my lad. You have all that the greatest men ever had. Figure it out for yourself, my lad. You have all the greatest of men have had. 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a brain to use if you could be wise. With this equipment, they all began, so start from the top and say, I can. Look them over, the wise and the great. Look them over, the wise and the great. They take their food from a common plate. And similar knives and forks they use. With similar laces, they tie their shoes. The world considers them brave and smart. The world considers them brave and smart, but you have all they had when they made their start. You can triumph and come to skill. You can triumph and come to skill. You can be great if only you will. You are well equipped for what fight you choose. You are well equipped for what fight you choose. You have legs and arms and a brain to use. And the man who has risen, great deeds to do. And the man who has risen, great deeds to do, began his life with no more than you. You are the handicap you must face. You are the handicap you must face. You are the one who must choose your place. You must say where you want to go. You must say where you want to go, how much you will study the truth to know. God has equipped you for life, but He lets you decide what you want to be. Courage must come from the soul within. Courage must come from the soul within. The man must furnish the will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. You were born with all that the great have had. With your equipment, they all began. Get hold of yourself and say, I can. It's one of the most beautiful lines I've heard in some time, and really shows what you have all that you need to achieve. Yes, circumstances, luck, everything falls into place, but the will is something which is missing in most of the places. Now, let me introduce you now to our next guest reader today. I have known him for close to 15 years now. He is one of the most intelligent and smartest people I have known. I must admit that I have come to know of his passion for poetry, music, only quite recently, and not for those long 15 years I wish I had. And if I have to put it in my wife's words too, he makes Michelin star cuisine at home. Some of his cooking skills are way beyond imagination. So let me now invite him. And Let's see if we are able to get him online. I've sent him the connection. Oh, there he is. Pradipto.
Hey Amit,
Hi.
am I audible?
You are slightly a bit less, but I'll check with everybody because I've had this problem where others can hear you very clearly. If anybody can tell me if they can hear Pradipto, Pradipto, if you could just say something.
Hi, and thanks Amit for a very, very kind introduction.
Go ahead. Looks like you should be fine. Anybody, Preeti, anybody, if you could tell us if it's fine for you, then we shall go ahead with what Pradipto is going to read to us. Great. Mayuri.
Okay,
Great. Tell me, Pradipto. Yes.
yeah. So I assume all good, and if you can't, I hear low
Yes, you can
volume.
see some low volumes.
Yeah, let me see. Is this better?
Yeah, slightly better. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you very much, Amit. Very kind words. I'm not sure my wife would agree to some of them. But really, thank you so much, and I really appreciate that you're doing these sessions, particularly because there are parts of our interests which kind of fade away into a lower priority in our day-to-day lives, and time is always at a premium. I mean, at least in my scenario, it always has been. And now with the lockdown, whether you like it or not, I think it's time to reprioritize. And I've
Correct.
been using this to, let's say, pull out a few of my lost interests to the surface. And thank you so much, Amit,
No
for
problem.
inviting me onto this. What I'm going to read today is some poetry or some one poem by a poet who really has enthralled me the last half a decade, I would say. I have been reading a lot of his poetry, and I've actually been also looking into what has influenced his poetry over a period of time. For those of you who are into poetry, you would know his name. He's Pablo Neruda. See, he's a Chilean poet. I'm just going to give you a very brief introduction about him to kind of give you a little bit of a context. He actually changed his name to Pablo Neruda in honor of Jan Neruda, who is a famous Czech activist and poet from the late 19th century. And he has explored many genres, including surrealist, historical epics, political writing, autobiographies, love poems,
Romance. Yeah.
a lot of love poems
Yeah.
actually. And he actually went on to win the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. And Gabriel Garcia Marquez, he has actually called Pablo the greatest poet of the 20th century in any language. And I've been reading a lot of Pablo Neruda's writing lately, and what I wanted to do, rather than get into all this theory and facts that are great to know, is to read out what's called Sonnet 17,
Okay.
or popularly known as I Don't Love You. It's a sonnet. It's very short, uh, but it's also interesting how the concept of love kind of emerges from the way Pablo sees it. Let me read out to you, and then we can discuss a little bit about
Sure.
what it talks about. Um, so here goes. I do not love you as if you were salt rose or topaz or the arrow of carnations the fire shoots off. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in secret, between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that never blooms, but carries in itself the light of hidden flowers. Thanks to your love, a certain solid fragrance, risen from the earth, lives darkly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you straightforwardly, without complexities or pride. So I love you because I know no other way than this,
Wow.
where I does not exist, nor you, so close that your hand on my chest is my hand, so close that your eyes close as I fall asleep.
Beautiful. Wow.
So it's a beautiful poem. Now, the interesting thing is, Sonnet 17 is dedicated to Pablo's wife. So, Matilde Urrutia, his wife, is the intended listener. And you would have noticed there is a reference of darkness in this poem, which I believe is more about the mysterious untold, at times unfathomable obscurity that love is as a concept. Yeah.
Correct.
And when you connect the theme of mystery and darkness of love to who this is addressed to, you
Correct.
then realize the layered depth of this sonnet, and how far it is from the frivolity of love in popular culture, which we are kind of
Exactly. It's
bombarded with
like,
on a
I
day to
mean,
day
not
basis.
as love which is popularly seen as everywhere. True.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that that's a beautiful impression. And then and there are several poems, and there's a lot of work by Pablo which explores this kind of, for want of a better word, impressionism. And then I dug a bit deeper into who his biggest influences were. And I already talked about Jan Neruda, who influenced him that much that he changed his name. So, and the other person who influenced him most and who was even his teacher was Gabriela Mistral.
Okay.
And she, in fact, she is herself the first Spanish American author to receive the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1945. Now, if you look at Mistral's writings, they are highly emotional and they impress the reader with an original style which is marked by a disdain for aesthetically pleasing elements common amongst modernist writers. So she
Oh,
was kind of
okay.
going away from modernism
Right.
in a very pronounced way, and there's a lot of so you can kind of trace the roots to the realism and the satire. And by the way, Jan Neruda, if you read up on Jan Neruda, it's all about realism and satire
Awesome.
in
Okay.
popular themes. So unfortunately, I've been unable to find suitable translations of Jan Neruda's poetry. However, I am going to read out a poem by Gabriela Mistral, which hopefully will end this reading session from my side with a very positive note, and that's needed in today's world. On a
True.
separate note, positive is the worst word that you can have in today's world. Yeah? Positive is the most negative word if you think about it. But let's not talk about that right now.
Yeah.
So this is also a sonnet. It's called "Those Who Do Not Dance." Um, and it's been translated by Helen Maslow Anderson. Here goes. A crippled child said, "How shall I dance?" "Let your heart dance," we said. Then the invalid said, "How shall I sing?" "Let your heart sing," we said. Then spoke the poor dead thistle, "But I, how shall I dance?" "Let your heart fly to the wind," we said. And then God spoke from above, "How shall I descend from the blue?" "Come dance for us here in the light," we said. All the valleys dancing together under the sun, and the heart of him who joins us not is turned to dust, to
Wow.
dust. So, in this poem, if you see Gabriela in very simple language, just note the language. Huh? It's got
True.
absolutely no heft. And in very simple language, she's exploring how we move beyond our assumed limitations. And I think it kind of goes very well with the poem that you recited earlier
Yeah.
on,
Correct.
Amit. And she expresses joy, how we express joy, creativity, life. Talked about how to dance when the body does not respond. When we have grown dry and
Pradipto,
quickly and lost.
we've lost your
Uh,
voice a bit.
can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
still
this
hear
is
me? Yeah,
better.
yeah. I think it's just being close.
Sure.
So if you look at it, she's asking questions like, how do we dance when the body does not respond? I mean, when we have grown dry and prickly and lost most of our substance, like the thistle that they talk about. Is it possible we can fly? And even God, at least the God of our imaginations, needs an invitation in which we gather together in the light. So the more we see our limitations as new pathways rather than roadblocks,
Correct.
we begin to come alive, we reconnect, and dance until all the valley is in movement with us under the sun. That's
Beautiful.
the essence of the poem, and that I think is a beautiful, let's say, expression of hope,
True.
which I do think we need in
And as you were finishing the poem, that's what started coming together. I mean, I could identify so much with equipment, which I just
yeah.
recited, in terms of how it really connects the hope part, the abilities which are already there but not really visible, and hence, yep, it's just beautiful. And I think those categories of poets actually had so much to convey that, and I don't think a lot of us read them in our daily lives so much.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I have been. So, I've got this book. This is this vintage Neruda, and
Okay.
I think there are at least 5 summer vacations I have been traveling with this book, and I'm
Okay.
still kind of going through it and through all the poems. And now I'm more into the historical writing section.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
Brilliant.
poetry for you. Stays with you.
Brilliant, Pradipto. Thank you so much. This has been one of the more engaging sessions in which we have spoken about the poets also to an extent and analyze the poetry. But really, thank you so much and thanks for being there. And stay safe. I hope to see you around sometime again. Yep.
Thanks. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Yep.
Okay. That is me coming back. Yes, great. So that's me back. Oh wow, lovely. Now I so many things, so much about the poets, so much about the poetry, and the kind of theme that resonates with everybody. Now I have another poetry. This one is a Marathi poem, and yes, I will translate it as I read it. This poem was shared with me by a friend from Dubai, Viraj, and it's been written by somebody she knows, whose sister this lady is. The author of this poem is Sujata Bhide, and the title of the poem is Olakh. Olakh is identity. Uh, Actually, Viraj, I should speak about Viraj a bit. She has been my source for getting a lot of poetry, a lot of Marathi writings and stuff. So now I'll read out this particular poem, Olakh, which means identity. पाहता आरसा मज प्रश्न पडला एकदा. Looking at the mirror, a question came to me. हाच माझा चेहरा जो पाहिला मी लाखदा. Is this the same face I've seen million times? कुणी म्हणाले तोच चेहरा तूर्त दमला भागला. Somebody said it's the same face, it just looks a bit tired. आरशाचा कोण चुकला कुणी मला सल्ला दिला. Somebody said the mirror angle has been changed, so you may need to change it. कुणी म्हणाले दोष त्याचा आरसा झाला जुना. Somebody says that it is the fault of the mirror, it's being old now. कुणी म्हणे अंधार झाला तू उजेडी बघ पुन्हा. So people are saying maybe it's the light, it's become dark now, so why don't you try looking at yourself again in the light? स्वच्छ धुतला चेहरा मी रंग त्यावर लावला. So now I have washed my face and I have put some makeup, colored my face. आरसा तो बदलला आणि उजेडातच हलवला. So I changed the mirror, I moved it to the light. हर प्रयत्ने आस माझी अधिकती झाली उणी. चेहरा पण दाखवेना चमकती त्याची जुनी. I did everything which is possible, but yet I couldn't get the glow of my old face back. रूप आठवे ते खरे की हे खरे जे राहिले. The face which I am seeing now, is it the real one or was it the one which I remember from earlier? प्रश्न उठला मनमनी मग मी कधी मज पाहिले. So the question popped in my mind, when did I last see myself first? रूप आठवे ते खरे की हे खरे जे राहिले. प्रश्न उठला मनमनी मग मी कधी मज पाहिले. बिंब छायाचित्राचे वा पाहिले आरशातुनी. कधी मधुर शब्दातुनी स्नेहार्द कधी नजरेतुनी. So I have seen my face either through words, I have seen them through pictures, I have seen them through descriptions of others. रूप शाश्वत अंतरीचे बाकी सगळे मुखवटे. So at the end I realize that what is inside is my real face. What is outside is simply a mask I wear. रूप शाश्वत अंतरीचे बाकी सगळे मुखवटे, बिंब प्रतिबिंबात मज माझीच ओळख ना पटे. In this game of reflections and shadows and everything, I couldn't recognize myself. सोडली चेहऱ्याची चिंता, जाणीले मजलाच मी, आंधळ आला दर्पणाची, वाटते का कधी कमी. So then I forgot about all these reflections and mirrors and all, and when I realized that, does a blind person ever worry about a reflection? Such pertinent last two lines. सोडली चेहऱ्याची चिंता, जाणीले मजलाच मी, आंधळ्याला दर्पणाची, वाटते का कधी कमी. Such beautiful words by this poet Sujata Bhide. Such excellent, I mean, the way she has written it and describes yourself, discovering your internal self rather than the external masks which we put on. It's one of the most beautiful poems I have seen in a very long time. It's been again a pleasure reading all this to you, and as always, if there is anybody else who wants to join, I always forget, and there are a number of people. I should make this at least I should stop in between and say hi to. There is Shilpa, there is Mayuri, there is Ashima, there is Preeti somewhere, then there is Leonard Fernandez, and all these people. Thank you so much for joining in. And as always, I am going to read a couple of lines from my favorite book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. So, one of these lines which they say from this book. What should we read today? I have discovered something better than cake. No, you haven't, said the boy. The horse is saying to the boy, I have discovered something. No, it's the mole actually. Yeah. I have discovered something better than cake. No, you haven't, said the boy. I have, replied the mole. What is it, said the boy. A hug. It lasts longer. Well, in times of social distancing, that may not be the right case, but it's a virtual hug. Charley Mackesy happens to capture some of the most simplest thing in the most beautiful of words and sketches. So, another one which says, there's something I haven't told you, said the horse. What's that, said the boy. I can fly. Huh? That's a surprise there. I can fly, but I stopped because it made other horses jealous. Some of simpler things in life put very nicely by Charley Mackesy, and every day I wake up and read at least a couple of pages from this book. I have a couple of people who have heard about these quotes from me on these sessions, have gone and really actually brought the book, and that makes me very, very happy. Excellent choice of books. If you have any books to share, please do. If you have anything to say, in the next session, I will have something other than poems also. Hopefully that person is able to join us. Hi Anita, thanks for always watching. Your family has always been a big support in some form, in one way or the other. So that brings me to the end of this session number 10, reading with you. Thank you so much for being there. This is Amit Sangekar signing off. Stay safe. Take care.